Welcome to Climate Quickies, bite-sized nuggets of climate goodness from our TEDxLondon experts in under 5 minutes.
In this week's Climate Quickie, we're talking COP28, which starts today and runs until December 12th in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. In a nutshell, the countries who signed up to the original UN climate agreement in 1992 come together to discuss how they're doing with their climate commitments and what needs to be done next. After a year of record temperatures and extreme weather, there is a lot of eyes on this COP. But there are also a lot of question marks. As you may have heard, the UAE is one of the world's top 10 oil-producing nations. And the president of COP28, Sultan Al Jaber, is also the chief executive of the state-owned oil company. Leaked documents also suggest that the UAE planned to use its role as host to strike oil and gas deals. Let's head over to our climate experts across health, energy, justice, culture, and indigenous knowledge to hear directly from them on what their priorities are for the week and what they're working to achieve. If anyone can do it, it's definitely them. Stay curious.
Hi, my name's Tzeporah Berman, and I'm the chair and founder of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative. And this year at COP, finally, at the Conference of Parties, fossil fuels are going to be dragged center stage. We are actually having a conversation at all levels about fossil fuels, oil, gas, and coal. And that's critical because fossil fuels have been invisible for 30 years in the climate negotiations, even though oil, gas, and coal are responsible for 86% of the emissions trapped in our atmosphere. So at COP, I'm going to be watching for whether or not we see a commitment to phase out fossil fuels, for new international cooperation, and to ensure that those commitments are equitable. And I'm also going to be watching which countries agree to come on board and join the Fossil Fuel Treaty as a companion to help us meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. And I know for sure that 2 more are going to announce, so keep on a lookout for that, fossilfueltreaty.org.
Hi, my name is Isaias Hernandez. I'm an environmental educator and creative of Queer Brown Vegan. My priorities at COP28 this year is working with the Culture and Entertainment Pavilion to be able to accelerate the discourse around climate storytelling and how entertainment, culture, and politics are intertwined and we cannot remove the one from the other. So activating new stories with Generation Z to be able to build intergenerational storytelling. What's new and really interesting about this conference is that back in COP26, there wasn't really a huge emphasis on storytelling, nor an entertainment and culture pavilion. So at COP28, I'm very excited to see that there's finally one that is focused on the entertainment and cultural industry to be able to understand that every job is a climate job. So you should be looking out for that pavilion and also follow Queer Brown Vegan for more info.
Hello, I'm Anand Gopal, Executive Director of Policy Research at Energy Innovation. At COP28, I'm interested in tracking if the largest emitting regions, China, the US, Europe, and India, commit to any new targets to further reduce their own emissions. I also hope that participating nations will make a meaningful commitment to reduce emissions from 2 sectors that contribute a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, but have sadly been neglected at these COPs, industry and agriculture. This year's conference is chaired by the leader of a state-owned oil company. Hence, we can expect a major focus on carbon capture and hydrogen. While these are important tools, we must not forget that they can only play a supporting role to clean electrification at scale if we want to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. I hope to see the oil and gas industry come forth with binding commitments to reduce methane leakage and their Scope 3 emissions by 2030.
My name is Margaret McDonnell. I'm the Executive Director of United to Beat Malaria at the UN Foundation. We're excited that for the first time ever, there will be a health focus day as part of COP28 with the Reaching the Last Mile Forum taking place on December 3rd. Something that has been missing from the conversation is the impact of climate change on human health. For example, malaria, which is transmitted by mosquitoes and kills a child every minute, is particularly sensitive to climate. We've seen, and unfortunately will continue to see, how increases in temperature, rainfall, and extreme weather events, which lead to increased displacement, will contribute to increased cases and deaths from malaria. For example, following significant flooding, Pakistan experienced a 5-fold increases in malaria cases. Urgent action is needed now to build more climate-resilient health systems, to have better forecasting and planning systems in place, and to more robustly invest and partner in new ways. This year's COP28 presents a major opportunity to further understand the connection between climate change and human health, and to work together to create a healthier and more equitable planet and world.
Hi, my name is Josephine Latu-Sanft. I'm a global communications specialist focusing on climate change and ocean issues. I think COP28 will be a moment for the world to look itself in the mirror and ask, are we doing this right? It's been several years since we signed the Paris Agreement to cut greenhouse gas emissions. What have we achieved since then? What are the gaps and what can we do to plug those? This is because COP28 will conclude the first global stocktake, which is basically a comprehensive report card of the worldwide progress achieved under this treaty. It's also a time to test the commitment of the international community and their ability to deliver on promises for climate finance. In particular, the Loss and Damage Fund that was agreed last year. This fund aims to support vulnerable countries in coping with climate change impacts, which they have already been suffering for a while now. These are countries that have contributed the least to global emissions, and yet they face the worst impacts. So for them, it is a matter of justice, of survival. COP28 is expected to set out how this fund will operate, and I really hope it delivers in this respect.
Hello, I'm Henry Preston, a physicist and an external communication manager at World Nuclear Association, where we aim to promote a wider understanding of nuclear energy among key international influencers. Looking ahead to our priorities for COP28, we have launched the Net Zero Nuclear Initiative, calling on governments and industry to commit to at least a tripling of global nuclear capacity by 2050. Nuclear reactors play a pivotal role for our access to 24/7 clean energy, with some of the lowest carbon emissions, resource and land use requirements of all sources of electricity. This year, as part of the Net Zero Nuclear Initiative, we will have a Blue Zone Pavilion to exhibit the nuclear sector's contribution to mitigating climate change, and more widely, its contribution to all of the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
My name is Sacha Wright, and I'm the Research and Curriculum Coordinator for Force of Nature. Our priority this year for COP is making sure that youth is at the center of the conversation, and that their voices are heard in decisions that are going to be governing their futures. I think what's different about COP this year is that for the very first time, there will be a COP28 health program, which means an entire day dedicated to health. This is a watershed moment to put health at the forefront of climate action. For too long, we've looked to the world leaders and official delegates for a better path forward. But instead, we need to look to activists, artists, doctors, and advocates from around the world to see how we can build a better future together.
Thanks for listening to this quickie.
This episode was created by our superstar podcast team at TEDxLondon. Until next time,
Stay curious.